Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Aditya and I welcome you to the Brainstorm Codings. In this video, I will show you how to create classes and objects in JavaScript. So let's get started. A class is a blueprint from which we can create an object, and class also describes the behaviors and states of that object. So in object-oriented programming, whenever I say behavior, I mean function, and whenever I say state, I mean variable. So we also have some different names for functions and variables, which I'll come to later. But a class is a blueprint to create an object, and an object is an instance of that class. And every object has some behavior and some state. So if you consider a dog as an object, then a dog can bark, it can run. So these are the behaviors of that dog object. And a dog has a color, it has a name and a breed. So these are the states of that object. So in object-oriented programming, we can combine these states and behaviors, and we can create a blueprint, so we don't have to repeat the same logic again and again. So but this is not the only thing why we should use object-oriented programming. It has a lot of advantages like polymorphism, inheritance, encapsulation, abstraction. So these are some things because of which object-oriented programming is really famous, really popular, and really useful in programming. So let's assume that we have a scenario. I want to list all the teams, and each team contains two people. The one handles the back end, the one handles the front end. So that's not enough for creating an application, definitely, but let's assume that each team only needs two people. So I will create a JavaScript object. Well, JavaScript object is completely different from an object in object-oriented programming. So I will create a JavaScript object and I will name it as team1. And each JavaScript object, so each team object will contain another two objects, the one for the first member and the other one for the second member. Okay, so each member will have a name. So the first member is Jethalal Gada, and his role is backend development. So he's a backend developer. Then we have the second member, who is Tarak Mehta. Well, these are my favorite characters from a really popular Indian comedy show, which is Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma. I watch it regularly, so that's why I'm taking these characters out of those shows. So, and they are like buddies, so that's why I'm putting them in a single team. And he will be handling the front end development. So he's a front end developer. Let's copy this one, let's create another team. So this will be team 2. The first member will be Atma Ram Bide. Well, he's a teacher in that show, obviously. And his friend is Roshan Singh Sodi. So we have these two teams, and I want to list these teams in an array. So I'll create an array, an empty array by the way. Name it as teams. Then use the push function. Let's add first the team 1 and then team 2. Let's save this, run this program. Oh, let me console log this out so we can see all the members and all the teams we have. I want to see the teams array. Okay, so we have these two teams. The first member is Jethalal, the second member is Tarak Mehta. So this is the first team we have, and this is the second team, which has Atmaram Bede and Roshan Singh Sodi. So you can see that each time you want to create a team, you have to take a JavaScript object, then you have to create these two different objects in that, and then you have to write the name, the role each time you want to assign a member to a team. So this is really like a hectic process for us. So if I want to create a third team, or if I want to create 100 teams, I will have to do these things again and again. So instead, if we are using the same things, if we are creating the same kind of objects, instead we can create a blueprint of that. Okay, so let's create a class. So for that we use the class keyword. The name of the class will be teams. Then we use the curly braces, and first we will have some fields. So in object-oriented programming we call variables as fields. So the first one will be the name. And let's not create teams, let's create team member and role. So each member will have a name and a role. And let's create an object for this class. So whenever we want to create an object, we use the new keyword, the name of the class from which we want to create an object, and that's it. So now if I console log this out, so let's assign this. We can even assign the object we have created from the class to a variable. So let's say that this is the member 1, and I want to add the name and the role for that member. So I can use the name of the object, then the period operator, and we have this name field, and I can assign Jethalal Gada. So this is the name, and this will be the role. Alright, now just comment this out. If I console log the first member of the team, let's save this program, run it here. Then we have the team member. So this is the name of the class. So team member has a name, which is Jethalal Gada, and he also has a role. So he's handling the backend of the application. So you can see this is how we can create an object, and it's really easy to create a team member by using object-oriented programming. So we have created a class. This class contains some fields. So the first one is name and the second one is role. Then we created this object. So this is how we create an object. We use the new keyword, then the name of the class, then the parentheses, and we have stored this object in the member1 variable, so we can later assign a name and a role for that member. So to assign a name for member1 object, we have used this name field, and we have also assigned a role for that member. So this is how you can create an object from a class, and it's really easy. You can see here we had to create a new object every time we want to create a team. So let's say that I can even create another object. So this will be M2. Let's not waste time, and this will be from class team member, and M2 will have a name which is definitely Tarak Mehta. The role will be front-end developer. If I console log this out, the M2 object, I will get to see the second member as well. So we have the two members, and this is the second one we just created, Tarak Mehta, who is the front-end developer. So this is how easy it is to create an object from class, to create a blueprint, and to create an object, to create an instance of the class. And this is also a lengthy way to create an object, because each time we have to create an object, we have to assign it to a variable. Then we have to use this period operator to assign a name and a role for each member. So we have 3 lines of code for doing some task. Instead, we can use some other method with which we can just initialize the object. We can create and initialize the object at the same time. So instead of adding these values later after creating the object, we can do it in the same line when we create that object. And we'll have a look at it in the next video. So the thing I'm talking about is obviously the constructor. So the person who is coming from the object-oriented background, who has tried the object-oriented programming, you must know about the constructor. So by using the constructor, we can create an object and initialize it at the same time. So we don't have to write these 2 lines of code again and again. So that's all for this video. I'll explain you what the constructor is in the next video. So that's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one.